been filtered out of some air. Every time you take a breath, you're inhaling a lot of particles. During pollination seasons, you're inhaling a lot of particles, and those are naturally produced, so we can't blame them on human activity. But volcanoes produce ash. In other words, ash and dust are considered particulates. Soot from open fires is considered a particulate, or from the burning of coal. But they occur naturally. Dust storms, forest and grassland fires, the pollen from living vegetations, and then of course, by our burning of fossil fuels has something to do with it. It's produced in power plants, it's produced in industrial processes. So we're filling the air full of a lot of particles. And it seems like the air is dirtier than it used to be. And it is in large degree. But if you would draw some air through a filter and then magnify it, it would look something like that. All kinds of particles. And some people are very sensitive to particles when they inhale them. It creates a lot of bronchitis or asthma type symptoms. Can you imagine working in a coal mine before they regularly use respirators? The asbestos industry, that's a solid waste, but the particles from it become airborne. Chances are this floor has got asbestos in the piles. As long as you keep it sealed with a sealant, it's safe. You see, heating water steam pipes wrapped in something and painted, those are probably wrapped in asbestos. But as long as you keep them sealed with paint regularly, the EPA allows you to maintain that. But when it's loose as an insulation, asbestos, solid waste that creates air pollution, has to be taken out. And it has to be done in a certified manner, as does lead paint. I think most contractors ignore that right now. They sand woodwork in old houses, often without any kind of mask or respirator, and then cover it up with unleaded paint. Paint, about the same time gasoline became unleaded, so did paint. It used to be most all paint had lead in it, especially oil paints and car paints. I worked in the paint business, and my family owned it, so I worked in high school, and I worked when I was off in the summer for college, and I worked when I was teaching in the summer when I was off. And we mixed a lot of lead-based car paint with DuPont car paint. However, no respirator, no ventilation in the room. It's just, so someday I'll just peacefully, I hope. All right, another, and we began talking about this, didn't we? Ozone? Maybe a little bit. Ozone appears in two different ways on Earth and around Earth. Mother Nature supplied it back before there was life on Earth as part of the upper atmosphere, the stratosphere. And had ozone, which is a special form of oxygen. How many atoms are in a normal oxygen molecule that's floating around in the air? Two. You may have heard of oxygen called O2. It doesn't just float around as a single atom. It connects with another oxygen atom, and it's called a diatomic molecule. It floats around. And this is the normal form of oxygen, but under certain electrical and ultramagnetic deals, oxygen becomes O3. And it's a triatomic molecule. This is ozone. And ozone has a peculiar characteristic that it prevents ultraviolet radiation from the sun to penetrate wherever it is in the atmosphere. In other words, it's floating around up there in the atmosphere, and every time an ultraviolet ray hits it, it dissipates it. Had this ozone layer not formed, life on Earth would not have happened. Those early cells, those little fragile particles of life that originated on Earth but long before advanced organisms, couldn't have withstood the ultraviolet light from the sun without this ozone layer being there to protect them from it. So you can thank the upper atmosphere ozone for that, found in the troposphere. And that's good ozone. And it prevents skin cancer, which is very common. Now, there's a bad ozone that's considered a pollutant. And in this process, especially in cities, where there's a lot of internal combustion engine things, a lot of heat is generated by absorption into asphalt and then radiated back into the area. Have you ever noticed the temperature in Louisville is usually higher than the temperature here? There's two things going on there. Their proximity to the Ohio River is one, and the other is a bigger city. And cities tend to be warmer than the areas around them. Now, in cities, we have volatile organic compounds. Those are things like the fumes from paint thinner, the fumes from hairspray, and the fumes from spray paint, cans of spray paint. And even though they're changing the formulations of these, spray paint is